Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn. Lockwood voters say yes to a new $50 million high school. With
ballots tallied, nearly 64% of the voting taxpayers in Lockwood show strong support for a new high school and its multi-million-dollar bond. An exciting yet major project over the next several years.
Q2's Dustin Kleeman joins us now with reaction from officials who now will get to work building a new chapter in the community of Lockwood. Dustin.
Good evening, Jay and Jeanelle. That cautious optimism I told you about at 5:30 officials had entering tonight was turned into cheering and smiles at the watch party.
Kids like Lucy are going to get to go graduate from Lockwood High School.
At the current unofficial tally of votes, now at 1,495 in favor, with 856 voting against the measure. That's almost 64% voting yes. The project, which could be completed as soon as 2021, includes building a 700-student school along with an auditorium that could hold 700 students. On top of that, a 3,000-person capacity gym. Now, it's time to get to work.
You know, we want to be the best school that we possibly can. We want our taxpayers to be reaffirmed in what they've invested in us. We have such a great team. You see these people here today. You know, the volunteers we had going door to door, the people that we had at our numerous community meetings and having those conversations about what do you want in a high school. I was one of the people that was most worried when we put out a price tag. It was $10 million more than I ever would have wanted to go, but that was the feedback from the community. And so having that team around us, I have confidence that we're going to be able to do this and do it right.
There's a transition we'll be paying attention to ahead between Lockwood and School District 2 as Lockwood students do attend Billings High Schools. I reached out to Superintendent Terry Bouck for comment. We'll likely hear from him in the coming days. We'll have more tomorrow. Jay and Jeanelle.
All right, thanks, Dustin.
Well, tonight 4 other local school levies up for vote, and just one got the support it needed. We begin in Laurel, where voters turned down not one but 2 levies tonight. The elementary school levy for nearly $400,000 a year went down. 56% of Laurel residents voting against it. And the high school levy asked for $231,000 per year, and that levy also failed by an identical margin. Broadview High School requested $7,840 in its levy. Residents there said yes 67% to 33%. And finally, Pioneer School District voters between the Billings Heights and Shepherd voted down its request for $18,367. As Western Montana copes with major flooding, today Governor Steve Bullock toured some of the areas hit hardest in the Helena Valley. The governor and Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney briefed this morning on how officials in Lewis and Clark County are dealing with the high flood waters. They say where the county is using 2 large pumps in this area, it helps divert floodwaters down a ditch system towards Lake Helena. Bullock says he's impressed with the efforts of volunteers, but wants the state to stay in close contact with the county so it can provide additional help that's needed.
It's certainly good that our community members are helping out one another at a time of need, but we also got to recognize that this could still go on for a while more, so we got to be vigilant. In Missoula, county authorities ordered the evacuation of 60 homes today as the rising Clark Fork River submerged an entire neighborhood west of Missoula. Now we're told close to 1,000 homes now are potentially threatened by these rising waters. The Clark Fork River already is at its highest level in some 40 years. And experts say it's only going to get worse as the Clark Fork, Bitterroot, and Blackfoot rivers continue to rise. Fires, floods, avalanches, or earthquakes, Western Montanans always seem to be there to help their neighbors. Now they're connecting through Facebook, and even high school students are lending each other a hand. MTN's Jill Valley reports.
Dozens of high school freshmen from Big Sky High School spent part of the day Tuesday filling sandbags to help block the rising waters of the Clark Fork River. It's hot and dirty work, but they know it's important because this is happening in their own neighborhoods.
All these people are having a hard time living in their own houses right now, and it's in our own community. So especially seeing like drone images of people having a hard time in their own homes, it's definitely something to work for.
Coincidentally, this volunteer effort is an extension of what they've been learning in the classroom this year about the power behind the snowpack.
One of the things we've been doing is studying the relationship between the snowpack, the winter snowpack, and the rivers. We've been telling these students like this is going to be historic, and so as soon as we noticed that homeowners were being affected here, we said, oh my gosh, this is their this is their neighborhood school. So we said, yeah, we should get these guys out and help. And they've been amazing. These guys have been absolutely incredible.
I think they feel a sense of accomplishment, a sense of pride in what they're doing. We had some students yesterday who said this was the best thing they've done because they felt like it was really meaningful to them. They felt like they'd actually accomplished something.
It's interesting to like see it in real life instead of it just being like taught in a classroom.
Yeah, it's good like learning how to do it for the experience you can have.
It's one of many efforts to help Missoula area flood victims. Nathan Stevens started a Facebook page called Missoula Flood Support so people can connect in this crisis.
Came out of a sense to want to help in some way, and I have a lot of experience doing online marketing and doing a lot of Facebook pages. Yeah, I mean, it's really a way to crowdsource.
The Facebook page Missoula Flood Support is connecting those people who need help to those who want to give help. And as this flood situation continues, that aid will stretch beyond the borders of Missoula.
Yeah, and they're asking for support in Bonner and Clinton and East Missoula now as well. So they're seeing the water rising in those areas and they're concerned, and you know, they want to plan ahead. So I think people are ahead of the county in a way by paying attention to what's going on at the river and realizing that the warm weather's here and the melt's coming soon.
In Missoula, Jill Valley, MTN News.
We turn our attention to weather here. Bob McGuire joining us, and Bob's been looking at those local rainfall numbers. How do we stack up compared to last year?
That was the big question. And, you know, we're doing better than normal, and you'd think we've done really well because we set that snowfall record in Billings. Well, we didn't do that well. Let me show you how we're doing. As you can see here, we'll put this into motion, and here in the Billings area, we've had 5.29 inches so far in 2018. Now, that's ahead of normal, 419, but last year on this date, we were at 737. Yeah, that's right, Miles City, the only one of the few here that is actually not doing as well last year as they were this year. You'll notice here in Miles City, they're over 5 inches. Last year, they were at 220. Livingston, they're at 470 last year. They were at 515. And look at Sheridan, 566 last year. They were close to 10 inches of rainfall. So, yeah, we've had a much better last year than we have this year. But don't worry, we still got a lot of year to go before we can catch up on those totals. Let's look at our forecast. We'll have more coming up your way in a few more minutes. Jeanelle?
All right, thanks so much, Bob. A local transient most noted for making a home high up in the Billings Rims has died. Authorities say 62-year-old Gordon Ray Harris was found on a downtown sidewalk Saturday morning. Harris appears to have died of natural causes. Yellowstone County Deputy Coroner Rich Hoffman says Harris had previous heart conditions. Now, Harris told Q2 that he suffered a bout of pneumonia every winter since he had been evicted from his apartment 4 years ago. There's no word on if that played a role in his death.
Still to come on tonight's 10 o'clock news, President Trump fulfills one of his campaign promises. Those details and reaction coming up.
Plus later, these artists' heads are in space and they're coming up with some incredible creations.
And in sports, Scott introduces us to Q2's Athlete of the Week, a rising track and field star in Big Timber.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.